viewers, welcome to the Digest News. You are watching an exclusive interview with me, your host Hussein Utam, not the politician, but actually I have a politician with me today who is Babucarr Bayo, the deputy party leader of Gambia Action Party. Mr. Bayo, welcome to Digest.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, and GAP have been off the spotlight lately. What happened?
Well, I'm not aware of that status quo. GAP has always been in the limelight, because if you can remember, when the Gambia Action Party endorses the candidature of His Excellency President of the Republic of the Gambia, President Babucarr in 2021 presidential election, Gambia Action Party has been in the spotlight, and we also try to salvage socio-economic development by partnering and trying to give in the president a technical advice and perspective. And we also move away from that, and then also came along to endorse the candidature of the Lord Mayor Hamed Talib Bensouda. Gambia Action Party was the first political party to be in the room to ensuring that we endorse his candidature to win the local government or mayoral elections at the time. So Gambia Action Party has been on the spotlight in all perspective, though the Gambia Action Party has not been able to put up candidates during the local government elections. These were due to technical issues the party was trying to go with, the party was going through with. But there are provisions in the constitutions that inform the decision by the IEC that political parties' primary objective is to contest for political power. But again, it is also put in a perspective, whereas if those political parties cannot contest for a political power, they can form alliances, they can form coalitions to ensure they salvage the socio-economic development. I think this has been an issue of concern over the years, that political parties have always come together to ensure they salvage the socio-economic development. So Gambia Action Party has been on top of matters, whereas we cannot contest for elections, but we also try to form alliances and coalition to support the agenda of certain candidates that we think they can provide solutions to the doorsteps of Gambians.
Okay, Mr. Bojang was the flag bearer around 2019, innit?
Yep.
Yes, and he was expelled.
Yeah.
Then Hussein Bachili was the president flag bearer of the party. GAP was one of the parties that were rejected by IEC. Hussein Bachili endorsed Adam Barrow, which became a chaos between the GAP, their executive members. And Hussein was expelled. What happened after that?
Let me just substantiate this. I think it got in the wrong perspective. The Gambia Action Party has what we call separation of powers. In our modus operandi, the Secretary General and Party Leader, Honorable Musa Hussein Bachili, has never been the flag bearer of the party. He is the Secretary General and Party Leader, devoid of another candidate who happens to be General Lamin Bojang, who was elected by the executive members of the party to be the flag bearer of the party. So we were having that division of powers, where you have limitations to the powers of the Secretary General, and you also have limitations to the powers of the flag bearer. These two powers are separate. They are not the same. So scandal came up, and those scandals were pertinent to the flag bearer at the time, because he was then the deputy head of mission in Russia in the embassy. He resigned to uptake the mantle of the flag bearership in the party, but something came up after giving him that benefit. There was a scandal that the party could not condone at the time, because this is something that has to do with assassination of character, where his nude was like seen in the media. People were saying Gambia Action Party flag bearer is that and that. So the party could not bear it, because these are things that always dent the image of the party. So we come up with a resolution by the executive members at the time that we have to give him a leverage, whereas he can no longer fit to be the flag bearer. So on that note, he was not happy with the decision, and he left and formed another political party. As we are talking now, he's the head of security section of the embassy in Guinea-Bissau. So when he left, the party was not having a flag bearer at the time. So Musa Husseini Ali Bachili still remains the party leader and secretary general of the party. Then I was the spokesperson, or the national spokesperson of the party by Congress. So we went ahead to form another resolution, because the party cannot remain, because we are looming to the 2021 presidential election at the time. The party could not stand to sit and wait to have a flag bearer. So we decided to come up with Tamsir Jassi, former Gambia immigration director of immigration at the time, was now also a U.S. Navy, and then sometimes also we come up with another person who was in the name of Aliou Sow, was former head of Kanilai Farms operations in Kanilai under Jamer's regime. So those two people were together. So we are able to elect or select, let's say elect, one of them. At the end of the day, Tamsir Jassi, he was charged with felony because he was part of the people that engineered the coup d'etat at the time during Jammeh's time. So we find that he is not fit, because if he opens to nomination, he will not be able to be nominated, because the laws in this country state very clearly anybody who has charges or criminal charges cannot pursue public offices. So we don't want to risk it, to nominate him. At the end of the day, when we get to the nomination, IEC will reject him. Okay, so we decided to come up with Aliou Sow. So Aliou Sow was finally chosen to be the presidential candidate for the Gambia Action Party 2021 post-elections. What happened was, we come up at a time when the party leader saw there is a need, that Aliou Sow also had some issues at the time because he was also major general, I don't know, major general or major in the army, during the IJMA time, has a little of some issues. So he said he was not comfortable, Aliou Sow also going for nomination. So what we do is, since he is not intending as the party leader to contest for political power or contest for the presidency, let the Gambia Action Party open up with talks with the president to form a kind of an alliance. But what position we had at the time was, forming an alliance is an instrument within the political space that all political parties are au fait with. But also the issue is, we should be having terms and references when forming political alliances. But the issue we have, the laws in this country does not provide the solutions to political parties, so that at least if you form alliances, there could be alliances that are binding. Because if you look at rhetorics of the post-election 2016, when a coalition was formed, they came up and said it was a gentleman agreement. And that gentleman agreement, at the end of the day, there was nothing binding. You see, people like Khalifa Sallah and other leaders left because they saw the need that what they said to Gambians could not be operational. So people like Khalifa Sallah have that integrity, could not sustain it to say, okay, I can still back the alliance, or I can still back the coalition, because what we said to Gambians was not fruitful, was not in practice. So some of them relieved themselves from the alliance. So this is what we have. So we are looking at a partnership whereas we can sign things with the Adama Barrow, and at the end of the day, if we fail to fulfill those things, we cannot take it to court. But in our present laws, there is no provision in the constitution that says if you form an alliance under our electoral laws, that if the person failed to go by what he promised, you can take the person to court. So we said there is no need for us to form an alliance based on the technicalities that we have to put something down, written, signed by President Barrow and signed by the party leader and Secretary General of the Gambia Action Party, Honorable Husseini Ali Bachili. So we decided to say, okay, let's leave the party like this. Okay, so Honorable Husseini Ali Bachili said it is not a good idea that the party can be left in that kind of a manner where we will not participate, because our primary objective is to participate in elections, whether we contest or not, but we can also go by the form of alliances and coalition. So he decided to endorse the president's candidature at the time. But what he said in his statement was, I, Honorable Musa Husseini Ali Bachili, alone, endorses the president as a candidate for 2021 presidential election, but not GAP at the time. But if you look at it is technical. A party leader and the party, to substantiate the two, becomes very, very, very critical, because there's a thin line that exists between the two personalities. So some will say if Bachili endorses the president candidate, it means Gap has endorsed, technically, because he's the party leader and secretary general. So we do not see it in that perspective. We said, okay, if Bachili is endorsing the president, the executive members come up to the resolution again to say, okay, we are not buying that idea. We will look for a potential candidate that is different from Adama Barrow, because Adama Barrow could not fulfill most of the things he signed with party leaders in post-election 2016 with the coalition 2016. So this could be a rhetoric, whereas it can come in reverse. If we do the same, we are going to be in the same mess again. At the end of the day, we'll say, Adaino. You understand? So we said, okay, why not we look at something else? We tried a plan B in forming a resolution in backing Mama Kande's candidature. I personally, as a spokesperson at the time, I chaired 85% of Mama Kande's meeting during the campaign. And then I could remember when we used to chair the meetings, even when we formed the technical alliance with the APRC faction, the other faction. Ayajeme used to talk, speak, give messages, advices in our campaign trail. Then I was not with Honorable Musa Ali Bachil, with some executive members, the administrative secretary. Some important portfolios were not there. He was the only person that was there with around. But people were saying, why the scramble and the partition? So it all boils down to what we call idealism. You know, politics is all about ideas. We thought joining Adama Barrow at the time was not the right idea. But for him as the party leader, thought, okay, since I am the party leader, you people should be answering to me. But we do not want it to be like, whereas even though we are answerable to the party leader, but he cannot micromanage the institution. You understand? We are all voted in or elected during congresses, and all the positions or the designations in the party are lawful because of we went to Congress, IEC was there to monitor the Congress, the way we conduct the Congress, and all these things were there. So if you say we are answerable to, yes, we are answerable, that when it comes in principle with working in the inter-party structures. But in terms of making decision, I think the larger decision has to come from the executive members, not only when the Secretary General said this happens, this happens. So we wanted to put this to Gambians to say, political parties, we cannot see our leaders as demigods, like we see in other political parties. Nobody challenges the decision of a Secretary General. So we wanted to create what we call a precedence. And the precedents actually created. And people, we are saying, young people like us, Bayo, Yafa and others say, hey, you people have the infantry. You have the temerity to sack your political party leader. Some people we are saying, yeah, you people, you really have the guts. But this is what we want to give, we want to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that political parties bear instrument, and those instruments has to go abide by giving decisions in the political party internal structures. So this is what happened during the past, in the impasse, and at the end of the day, we come up to realize, okay, this was a test of time. The party cannot further be divided. Elections are done. Mama Kande lose those of us who were in the Mama Kande side, and him that was on the president's side, they won. You understand? So we come up to say, okay, if the party has to continue, though we have differences during the time, you fire us, we fire you, this blah blah, all those things happen, but let's lay the party to rest so that at least we can have what we call stability. Because all those push and pull within the party will not prove the party anywhere. At the end of the day, we are going to lose more support. We are going to see Gambians seeing our party as a party that is having commotion, a party that is not stable, a party that is not there for the interests of Gambians. So we said, okay, let us swallow our pride. Let us swallow our pride and meet the political party leader himself and tell him that this is what we feel and this is what he did, this was wrong and this was right. Now let's amalgamate, let's put everything together and then sort our differences. And this is what happened. We sort our differences, we come to terms, you understand? And what we told him at the time, this is we are vindicated. We saw him again going to the iAfrica and say, okay, I supported Adama Barrow at the time, but based on what he promises, he could not fulfill. You know, I was not looking for a position at the time. I all wanted for the Gambia to be prosperous. And Adama Barrow is not there to safeguard the governance architecture. So I'm leaving. He left the alliance. So it's like we are vindicated because we told him that if you join Adama Barrow at the time, this is what is going to happen. And it has happened. So he has realized that what we did, I didn't mean let's say he understood what we told him and then agree with what we told him. He couldn't have gone into Because people are now telling him that, okay, you joined Adama Barrow because of this, because of that. Now he did not give you position, and that's the reason why you decided to like turn down, yourself from the alliance. But for him, he said technically it was not that. All he wanted was to Adama Barrow to listen to him, give him advices, and then also provide solution to the governance architecture. And this was what was his aims and aspirations were. But they were not met. At the end of the day, people were pushing him, people are pulling him, even to see the president becomes a problem. Because prior to post-elections 2021, seeing President Barrow was easy. Even me to see President Barrow was easy. Because then it was like saying every political party or every influential politician is welcome in his camps. Because he wanted something from them. Now he got what he wanted. There is no need for him to ally with them anymore. They are not good allies. So it becomes a problem seeing the president. He say, okay, so you know what? Since I cannot see the president, and he don't fulfill most of the things he promised, to say he has secured 50 million American dollars for maritime education and blah 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 blah, and those things make him support the president agenda. And the agenda was not fulfilling. So at the end of the day, he decided to say, okay, let me forget about the alliance. So we come up together as a party. We went for the Congress. Then he was still retained as the party leader and secretary general of the party. We had some major reforms in our constitution that where we saw there were lapses, so we strengthened all those things. And then we also put up a new governance architecture in the party. Whereas I was also elected as the deputy party leader for the first time. And then also other young people in the party also were groomed to be given potential portfolios, like the national president is a young man, like the campaign manager is a young man. So we wanted to build a kind of an architecture whereas we will see inclusivity in the party internal structure, because this is what is lacking in most of political parties in this country. Because if you look at the inter-party committee coming up, signing a resolution or validating a policy of inclusivity where 30% of women will be seen within or mainstream within political party structures, and you also see people living with disability at least be represented into political party structures, women, young people. So we try to capture all these things so that at least the Gambia Action Party can have an executive body that is balanced. Okay. So
Hussein Ali Bashir is still the party leader of
Secretary General as of Congress.
Gambia Action Party.
As of Congress,
okay. Yeah. Like you made mention of Lamin Bojang, the way Lamin Bojang was sacked or expelled, I would say. Okay, according to a presser I read, written by Gambia Action Party, Lamin Bojang accused the executive members. Of Gambia Action Party of leaking his news. That is the reason why he was expelled. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's 100% correct. And I was part of the decision when the resolution was formed. Actually, he called on a press conference.
Yes.
And the press conference, actually, if a flag bearer is to call for a press conference, I think he should have the mandate from the executive members. Okay, key among the executive members is the administrative secretary. That is the national administrator. That is number which has the third powers in the party after the deputy party leader. At least inform him to tell him, okay, ask the spokesperson or ask the the one responsible for media, our media secretary, to call for a press conference. Then I will come and then talk on behalf of the party. But he did it on his own. So we thought he has not done the right thing. To us, it's something that is barbaric. We don't accept it. It's undone. We don't condone sort of kind of attitude. So we decided to call him. We call him, to come. We spoke to him, Then from there, we went to him so that we can talk to him. He denied us access. And then what we did was, okay, since it has happened this way, now let's just write a letter of relieving of service. Because he's coming to serve us as a flag bearer. If he wins the presidential election, he's going to serve Gambians at large. So we decided to serve him a letter of resignation so that we can, no, not resignation, we serve him a letter of expulsion from the party. Yeah, that's what happened.
Okay, what is the party trying to say? Because Yali Bashir was expelled, and even though their situations are different, Yali Bashir was expelled and Yali Bashir is back. Lamin Bojang, who was the flag bearer, was gone.
Well, the expulsion of...
Was there any effort made to bring him back?
That's what we are saying. For him, he thought he has the latitude. He has created the physical space to do things on his own. So it doesn't need the backing of the executive members anymore. I was talking to him, and even today, I talk to him always. We don't create enmity between us. Politics is something that has to do with ideas. It doesn't bring enmity between people. I don't entertain that. You understand? So I do speak to him up to tomorrow, but he thinks that he no longer feel that comfortable in the party, so he decided to walk away and portion the blame on us, and then went and registered a new political party. Yeah, we said fine, you still welcome into this political space. Now you are a party leader and all that. Now you have the infantry to go and then stand for presidency, whatever you want, because you have your own political party. Yeah, but if you look at the two sackings are different. When we are nominating him at the time, this was not done at Congress. And there are instruments in our framework, especially the election laws in this country, that political parties has to go for congresses every 2 years. You understand? So any designation that emanated from that decision that is informed by the Congress becomes valid. But when we are nominating him as the flag bearer, it was not done during Congress. It was done during a resolution passed by the executive members, not by the party entirely. So it's different. But when Yali Bachili was elected during Congress, and when somebody is elected during Congress, you have powers in the party. For you to be removed from the party, there must be a very, very, very grievous malpractices or very, very grievous misconduct. You understand? So when we try to pursue this, to remove him from the party, I'm talking about Mr. Bachili, the IEC said they cannot accept the letter. Because Yali Bachili, as long as they know, he is the party leader and secretary general, and he was elected during Congress, so he has all the powers to remain. So the only thing the party can do is to wait, exercise patience until the next Congress. When the Gambia Action Party is going for the next Congress, then we can choose whether to elect him or to re-elect him or to remove him from the party. So these are the two differences between the cases of Lamin Bojang and that of Musa Yali Bachili.
Okay, is Sehna Fall still with you guys?
Well, Sehna Fall, he was the press secretary, and he's still the press secretary. During Congress that we've just concluded at Tamala, he was elected as the press secretary. But his actions or inactions in the party, to me, is seen that he's not happy, I don't know, or he's not aligned, I don't know what happened, but he's not actually giving it like the way he was giving it before. He's not actually giving his best like before. But yet still, if you go to the IEC and then look at the designation, all that we are elected during Congress, his name is mentioned and his name is there, and he was elected as the press secretary of the Gambia Action Party.
Sehna accused you, Babucarr Bayo, of being in their camp and then switch because of family pressure. He said you and Bachili, let me quote, Bayo is his cousin brother of Bachili, and with the belief that Bayo will get them, you and Bachili, positions in the government, which did not happen as we speak. GAP as a party never had any alliance with the NPP. It was Bachili and Mr. B.I. who went to the party NPP as individual, who resorted to their exposure.
That's an opinion. I will not say what he said is right or wrong, but I can substantiate. Yes, families is there, but me is one thing I believe. If I was looking at family, then I wouldn't have joined Sehna Fall's camp. Let me put it straight away. When Bachili was endorsing the president, I stood firm and told them, they were there, Sehna Fall and the Administrative Secretary, Foreign Secretary, they were there. I told them, I'm not with him. If I was looking for family, then I wouldn't have been with Mama Kande, chairing Mama Kande's meetings. I would have been with Bachili. So let's forget about the family side. I was the first person that rebelled against him. He can attest, Sehna Fall, that Bayo was the first person that rebelled against his cousin brother. Because I looked at it, this is something that brings us together, not family issue. We met at the Gambia Action Party. It is objectiveness. It is not subjectiveness. You understand? So if I was actually looking at bloodline, then Bachili would have been, in my own camp to follow him. But I did not do that. I was with him during the campaign. Sehna Fall knows. We sleep outside during the campaign. Sometimes we sleep in the vehicle. The reason why I switched back to Mr. Bachili is to bring the ties together. You understand? Because we tried numerous times with the how to call it, with the IEC, and they said no, they refute our order that it can no longer be the president, how to call it, the Secretary General until we go to Congress. So what can we do? He's the Secretary General, and if we say we are removed from the party and the law doesn't allow it, what are we going to do? Why don't we bring the ties together? And one of the things also that propelled me to take that decision was when we all agree, we form a resolution to say we are not going to support Mr. Bachili and Mr. Barrow. We are going to support Mama Kande and the other alliances formed with the APRC, NATO Alliance. You understand? I said, okay, when we take a decision, let's make sure we give our commitment to this decision. Okay, we all agree. We sign. When is the time for us to go to campaign? You see other people are objecting. I mean, I cannot go to campaign, I have family. Who doesn't have family? Who doesn't have family? Okay, we can't, because now it is time for us to go and suffer. You can disassociate yourself from the decision. But when it was comfortable for us to sit in a room, build a resolution, and take a decision together, it was nice. It was all and sundry. I said, I am not going to be partner in this. You understand? Because I cannot sit and watch people take decision on the detriment of things that affect me. I cannot do that. Yes, you don't want Bachili, but when you take a decision, let us go and do it. So they said, me, I have a family, I cannot go this and that. So you expect us to leave our families to go to the bush and suffer? And when it comes to decision to take it, we all of us agree? I said, I'm not part of this. This is the reason why I intermittently leave that camp. Because I've seen there are people who are just there for their selfish gains. They are not genuine. They are not committed to the decisions that they take. I said, me, I'm leaving. That was the reason. Yeah.
Bashir endorsed Adama Barrow, say MPP during the presidential election.
Yeah.
But endorsed Talib Ahmed Bensouda during the local government.
That is where I said he later left the camp of the NPP because of things we had done to him that were not satisfactory.
So that means the allegation made against him by Sheikh Nafal is true.
What allegation is that?
But according to Sheikh Nafal, Bashir went to NPP, endorsed NPP for positions.
Well, I cannot say yes, I cannot say no, because for him what he said was he endorses President Barrow to succeed a second term, and then secondly, he want to defend the agenda of the president by saying he has secured $15 million American for maritime education, and these are things that touches his heart. And they also have secured some amount of $1 million for the health sector and all these things. So these campaign promises were the things that lure him into supporting Adama Barrow.
But do you think Yari Bashir just wanted to endorse Adam, because you said it at the beginning of the conversation that the coalition, the 2016 coalition failed woefully. We all saw it. Yeah. But what President Adama Barrow promised was never fulfilled. Yeah. Now we were in 2021 presidential election. So Adama Barrow said, I will do this, I will do. You think Bachili just fell for it, or it was something else?
Well, for him it was like taking it in perspective, like there was a pressure in him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him forgiveness and continue for granting Jannah. Former minister during Jawara's time, Hoje Jallow, was the one who mounted the pressure on him. And I think there was a close ties and close relationship between Bachili's father, who is Hussein Bachili, and the man himself, Hoje Jallow. So based on that relationship, he acted on defending the president's agenda and then tried to bring Bachili by force. You know, because I could remember when Bachili was saying, no, I'm not part of it, but the old man says, you cannot make me look like a laughing stock, you know, in front of the president, because I've already given him my words that I'm bringing you. So if I fail to bring you, it's like I am going to be seen as somebody who is not mean by his words. So I think all those things are accumulating the pressure on Bachili to join the president agenda. But technically, I don't see it as a reason because of position, because Bachili is somebody who it doesn't lure himself much into position. If Bachili was lure himself into position, he could have been the flag bearer of the Gambia Action Party. But you've seen Bachili himself say, no, I don't want to contest, but let me bring people who are qualified citizens. He is qualified, but bringing more people who are concerned citizens or qualified citizens to head the party as flag bearer. So if I told Bachili was somebody who is like greedy, somebody who wants to pursue that much position thing, position concept, then he would have been a flag bearer for the both past two elections. He would have done it, but he did not. So me, I do not see him as somebody, because Bachili is somebody who Who is bureaucratic?
Do you think Bachili was qualified at that time to be?
Of course, he's qualified.
Yes.
Yeah, he's qualified. Okay. Because we know what the Constitution talks about qualification. It is very clear. The Constitution, what it talks about qualification, is clear that the man can contest and he can contest. Yeah.
And that was you didn't contest during the presidential election because you were rejected by IEC. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You didn't contest during the parliamentary election.
Yeah.
Nor the
presidential
local government.
Yeah.
What happened?
The first phase of the local government parliamentary, then Bachili was in the camp.
Of NPP.
Yeah, he was in the camp because I remember I went with him to State House to see the president regarding putting some few candidates around the country. What President Barrow told him was this: we form an alliance. This is a technical alliance, but also I have an issue. Because if you could see, one of the prime factors why the draft constitution failed was because the NPP could not have a majority at the time. Because post-coalition 2016, the majority in parliament was UDP. The president went around to campaign for all UDP candidates, and they came and break up. And when they break up, we saw a switch of certain politicians at the parliament at the time. Some switched to the NPP, some still remain. And with all the switch, and UDP still have the majority. You understand? So he told him, the 2021, 2022 parliamentary elections, I want to have majority in parliament. In fact, not only majority, but absolute majority. Because we have what we call majority and absolute majority. So that at least decisions of certain things that actually procure the governance architecture or defend the governance architecture can be made. Because we've seen the legislature as a very much important arm of government. We also have another oversight functions of the checks and balances of powers in the executive. But also the profile laws that are suitable for institutions in this country, to use and prosper. So he said, why not you give me the chance? Why don't you give me the chance? Let that be behind us. Support my agenda still, like you did in 2021, so that I'll bring in a candidate. You support the candidate when we will have absolute majority in parliament, so that all these issues we have can be solved. Because he put it in perspective of the election failed awfully, and when I say the election, the draft constitution failed woefully because of the UDP at the time could not buy the idea, or they wanted just for the president not to succeed, because that's how he put it. The issue of the retroactivity clause, term limit, these things kill butcher the constitution. And then out of $114 million was just thrown into the dustbin like that. So these were things that was not appealing. So he decided to say, okay, why not you support my agenda? I was there with him. So actually, it's okay, since you've put it in that perspective, you make sense. We support you to have absolute majority, so that most of the laws that you think they are good laws, that that bar your governance architecture at the time, to provide solution to the doorsteps of Gambians, can now come to the table and be passed as laws. You understand? So he said, okay, no problem, I accept. And that was the reason why we could not put on candidate at the time of the parliamentary. When we come to the local government election, this is grassroots politics. In grassroots politics, we all know political mobilization is expensive. And for you to mobilize, you need certain things to be done, especially in terms of that financial security. You need it within the internal party structure. So this we are lacking at the time. So we decided to say, okay, since we are not participating, there are also provisions that allow us to form alliances endorsing individual candidates, because we are fighting the NPP. Because the NPP we are saying, Bachili left because he did not have crowd. Bachili, the Gambia Action Party, left the camp because they don't have people who can support their agenda. So we said, okay, since you say so, let's also test. It's also a test of power to see whether we can make it or not. Because we've proven it before. The by-election in Nyamina, you remember, that was the first by-election when President Barrow took office. We were there. We supported President Barrow. He supported his agenda, and he won. We came to the 2021 election. Although technically GAP did not support, but Bachili is the leader. And then,
so Bachili has been supporting NPP since before the presidential election.
Exactly. We supported the agenda of the president in the by-election in Nyamina. You understand, where the NPP won that seat. I was there also in the campaign with some honorable members, Ahmad Ba and others. You understand? So it's not today. So, but the president should have known that Gambia Action Party is a political party. Anywhere they said there's something actually that can be productive. He came and he was supported in 2021 presidential election. He won. So we said, okay, since they said we don't have the manpower, we don't have the capital, the human capital, let's put it a testable and see, so that we can be seen vindicated at the end of the day. So we endorsed Talib, and we told President Barrow. He sent his nephew to the house. I was there too when the meeting was condoned. Ahmad Sane was there. He came and called the president directly on phone and gave the phone to President to Bachile. They spoke, and what he told him was, UDP is the reason why my government is not prospering. UDP is those kind of politics of deceitful politics. And we've gone past the stage now, no? We've gone past the stage.
UDP is not part of the government.
No, but that is his campaign. This is campaign messages. Even during the campaign, we ain't listen to President Barrow during the campaign. If you are following, that's what he was saying. UDP is the reason why I could not win. UDP is the reason, no, not win. UDP is the reason why I could not provide solutions to the problems of Gambians. UDP, it is stopping me from developing. So let Bachile rescind its decision. I called after the meeting. He said, okay, I've forgiven you all what happened, all this and blah blah blah. We'll convene meeting between you and I. That is Bachile, according to Barrow, but it be him and Barrow, so that they can sit and talk about issues, the issue of the past 2021 election and all those things, the betrayal and all those things. They see that amend and come back together. I said, okay, fine, give the benefit of the doubt. If he call you to State House, go and meet him. He's your brother. Talk to him. You understand? I said, but for you to go back to that decision, that is suicidal. I, Babucarr Bayo, will not sit and allow this to take precedence. We will never allow it. We've already endorsed Talib, and that's it. Whether Adam Barrow likes it or not, we've already endorsed him. So there's no way we can go back to say, okay, we are not endorsing Talib again, now we are endorsing Babucarr Bayo. How people take us? We are not serious. We have been jumping from one place to another based on, interest or whatever. Politics doesn't come in that manner. People has to be like, prove to people that you can do it. You understand? This is the reason why we joined Talib, and then we told them, the NPP, Babucarr Bayo will not win this seat. We will do whatever possible to ensure KM is delivered, because we are KM residents.
Okay, so you played a major role.
We played a major role in ensuring Talib wins. And then today, Adam Barrow can attest that he has proven beyond all reasonable that Gambia Action Party has supported another winning candidate again. So he now know Gambia Action Party is not a party to be playing with. Even though if he thinks that we did not play any mega role, that's fine to him. But we know anywhere we support, that's it. Okay. Alhamdulillah.
So you were there during the by-election?
In Nyamina. Yes.
So you were supporting Barrow?
Yeah, we supported Barrow.
And then you switch again during the 2021
The 2021 presidential election, he still supported Barrow.
No, I'm talking about you.
No, me, then it was the party.
It was the party that endorsed NPP?
At the time, at the Nyamina by-election.
What changed between the period of the by-election?
The period of the by-election and the presidential, we see the period of the by-election, the Gambia Action Party was there entirely. Because even our national campaign manager was there with us, Honorable Parlamin Jata, former honorable member of Busumbala, he was there with us. So I can say it's the party. But when he was switching to the NPP, you saw him alone going.
Yeah, what I mean is...
So that's a variation of how the party participate and how an individual participate.
Yes, I get that.
Yes.
But then, why didn't GAP endorse NPP? They endorsed NPP.
You mean
by-election?
Yeah.
And then switch during the presidential election. What changed?
Okay, what changed was we come up to realize. President Barrow is not somebody that you can sign in anything or give a promise on anything and fulfills. This was the difference. But when we are endorsing him in 20, I don't know which year was that, sir. That was just, the by-election was just before the election, the presidential election. Then we are like trying to gauge, to understand what type of person, because rumors were all over. Adam Barrow did not betray the coalition, it is UDP that betrayed. So we are trying to substantiate those facts. So okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Though he is claiming that he did not betray the coalition, it is UDP that betrayed the coalition. Then now let's support him in the Nyamina by-election and see.
If it is true that UDP that betrayed the coalition, we will know. So we realized after supporting him, even President Barrow to call the Gambia Action Party to say thank you. Barrow did not do that. So we see it is somebody who was just there to manipulate people, manipulate politicians, use them, use expensive politics of deceit. So we said no longer 2021 is a no-go area, we cannot do it anymore.
So did Arnold Barrow promise GAP anything?
No, we did not do it for anything, like to say promise or whatever. We did it out of just a test of power, to know whether what people are saying about Barrow it is true or not. And we realized that it's true, because after somebody supporting you, to the ground, we are there like 3 days sleeping there to do the campaign before the very day election. And then you win, even to call that partner, to say Nimbara, or to say thank you. Is that too much? We don't say give us millions, but at least let us also feel we are part of the process. That we've actually given it all to help you. But you do not do it. Say you sit down in your corner, even you don't call us. Ahmad Sane was there with us. That is his nephew. You could have asked him, okay, Ahmad Sane, call these people, let us meet somewhere, or let us come to State House, let me thank them. Or call them and thank them on my behalf. I think that can be done.
Okay, so now to your opinion. UDP and NPP, who betrayed who?
NPP, of course. Ahmad Barrow betrayed the coalition.
Okay, you told Kelfato that, like you said here, you didn't participate during the parliamentary election because Ahmad Barrow told you not to in it. But Senafa said something different. Senafa said there was no fraud.
There was no what?
Fraud. Fund, money.
Yeah, but that's, I think I mentioned, I told you that political mobilization is expensive. Didn't I mention that? That technically tells you the financial security was not there for the party to leverage. I think I made mention of that. So that's it. And then, but we cannot also sit down because we don't have funds to sponsor, But we can also form alliances or endorses individual candidates that we think that they can prefer solution at the time, because we knew if at all Babucarr Bayo is to come and because what NPP is looking at is they're coming to build an architecture, whereas we are saying the NPP is much more powerful than the Gambian government. So this is what we politicians want to deviate from. We don't want the NPP to be much powerful, whereas all the important institutions in this country are managed or micromanaged. If I don't use manage, micromanaged by the NPP. So we do not want that kind of architecture at all. As a kind of a governance system that is not providing solution. We've seen it here. Jammeh's time, 22 years regime. Jammeh hijacked all institutions. You've seen KMC now being a pay agent, where these DI companies will come and receive salaries. KMC is not meant for that. KMC is collecting taxpayers' money, and then they exchange those taxpayers' money into services. So that if a KMC is now seen paying salaries to DI companies, it means the state has hijacked. So we don't want that kind of precedence to happen. We've said this is what the IJM has done. It is barbaric. It is unaccepted. It is not acceptable. Why are we going to encourage Adama Barrow to be that? So that the NPP can be much more powerful than the Gambia government.
So before switching to another topic, you made mention that Adama Barrow said they accused GAP of not having crowd.
Yeah, the capital.
So is that the main reason why you switched to?
That was part of the reasons. No, UDP. We didn't.
Sorry, Ahmed Bensouda.
Yeah, no, I think I've already made the reasons here already. One, we switched because we wanted to show a test of political power, and then secondly, we switched also to ensure we have a balance in the executive powers. Whereas the NPP cannot be seen as the most, powerful political party in the Gambia, where it will hijack all the institutions and then run by the NPP or micromanaged by the NPP. So these are some of the reasons why. And also, we looked at the candidate, the personality, what he can do. You understand? We've seen somebody coming all the way as a minister already, for or Minister of Youth and Sport. We've not seen what he has actually done in the ministry itself. We've seen our Gambia team has been banned of playing games in their own land. We cannot even have the opportunity as Gambians to watch our own games live in our own country. The Gambia team has to go all the way to Morocco to hold themselves and play international matches. We've seen all these things under the administrative mechanisms monitored or managed by Babucarr Bayo. So we've seen all these things coming. I would say, somebody coming all the way from that position to come down to, to contest for a mayoral. What is the joke? What is it all about? Is it about NPP taking the position, or is it about giving people who are credible to manage our institutions? We said no. We said no. Tariq has tried. We've seen the Bali project. We've seen other projects that Talib has brought into KM. And we are KM resident. So we will not sit and watch things that are coming, to affect us tomorrow. So we said, let's push. And as a political party, we have this instrument. Let's push. With the little human capital we have, let's push and support the man and see. If he wins, it means he's going to be there for the KM residents. And this is what we are doing up to tomorrow. Because when we support, we make sure we support to the letter. Even today, I was passing at this Latukunda Sabiji market. People were complaining of the rain floods. I called Talib. I told him. I said, Talib, people are complaining here because we do not support you only to sit in office, but we support you to ensure the problems of the KM residents are facing. We have to report those problems to you. Because this was the campaign promise, and we all dwell into that campaign promise. We all dwell into that campaign promise. So if it happens that way, it means we have to provide solutions. And that's how it should be. It's not only to support somebody after winning, you fold your arms. No. You have to make sure you support the person to the latter. Let him prove. And this was it.
Okay, how do you see the political atmosphere right now?
Well, the political atmosphere, Gambia has a type of politics which is seasonal. You always see politics. It's only the Gambia Action Party, I'm not proud to say, that you are always seeing us in the media. If you don't see the party leader, you will see the deputy party leader. If you don't see the deputy party leader, you see the spokesperson. So we are the only people that are here to hold account, constructively criticize government. Because most of the time, if I'm not in iAfrica, that Bachili will be at Kerfatu, it will be at Fatu Network, it will be at QTV and all that. So we are not that type of political party that sits and wait, because we always defend the rights of Gambians. Because we want Gambians to live in a much more dignified life. So the season we have in Gambia politics is like, you always see political parties being active during political activities. When we are going into elections, or when we are having campaigns, that's the time you see political parties active. This should not be the architecture. Because if you look at progressive democracies in Africa, Ghana, for example, they don't sit. Their politics is all over the year. It is round the year. They provide solutions round the year. Political parties go to the grounds and seek for solutions. So Gambia should be in that manner, but Gambia is not doing it. But one of the reasons why Gambia actually is not going to do it in that manner is because we are not benefiting from the consolidated revenue funds. In Ghana, there is a provision in their constitution that says every year there is there's no amount of budget that is specified for political parties, at least to cover the operation cost of their offices, their administration, all those things. But we here, if you want to put such a kind of a law, they said the law is draconian. And secondly, if those kind of law come into act, they will say you are empowering political parties. And the president is not empowering political parties. So that's the reason why you see the political atmosphere it is not tense, it is way calm. Opposition parties don't come out, to hold the government to account. This is how it should not be. We should be criticizing Adama Barrow's government, especially we that are part of the opposition, to not actually to see it whereas abusing, speaking bad of him, all that. So it's okay to say we are preaching politics of deceit, all those things. No, let's come with genuine politics. Let's look at what Adama Barrow's governance has so far. Let's have checks and balances. Let's say, okay, this is what he's doing right, and this is what he's doing wrong. So that Adama Barrow himself can sit and say, okay, this political party is saying this. Let me look at it and see. Is it right or wrong? So maybe he can correct himself from that. That's why we said opposition parties are very, 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 very meaningful. Very, very meaningful. Whereas they can come forward and then expose government corrupt practices, expose government in governance architecture, and all those things are there. But the Gambia is a kind of a country where political parties are silent, especially the opposition.
But don't you think the electorate also have a say regarding this? Because we have seen other parties when there is something going on, when they speak about it, like party meeting, they believe the politicians should only talk when there is a political, when let me say election is going on, or campaign and all. Don't you think Gambians also have to change their mentality?
Yeah, but I think that is subjected to the civil society, and then civil society also have the right to come up with any other thing the government is not doing right. Not only the opposition parties, civil society also have a role. They have a responsibility. But like you said, maybe that is a manner of attitude, where they think that you are pestering
Yes.
the government of the day. But to me, it is not in that perspective. But actually, it's a responsibility also shouldered in you as an opposition or civil society, to correct government. It is our responsibility to correct government where they are found wrong. Because I could remember I was at iAfrican. This is what I said. The president came openly on the state television and said his government is not corrupt, defending its ministers. How many politicians that go around and say what the government said was wrong? Few. Because you as a president, you cannot come and sit in front of a state television and say the institution that is responsible, to give you evidences of corrupt practices, come forward and put a white paper in your table, and then you said that white paper is subjected into mere opinions.
Yes.
Yes. And but look at it in perspective. How can you say this as a president? You cannot substantiate between an opinion and fact. But this is barbaric. This is not something that the opposition camp should sit and be mute over. Come and talk about it. And I spoke about this then. The Gambia government is now becoming so reckless that even the president will come forward and back his ministers. Few days after that proclamation, that message was sent by Adam Amaru, the Minister of Health, Samate, also came out and said his ministry is not corrupt. And we saw here the Minister of Health during the time when the response funds were given to the Gambia to respond to the COVID-19 funds. You understand? He went to the parliament and said his ministry is corrupt. He said that his ministry was corrupt because there are names that he found on those vouchers, though we are ghost names, they were not actually practically existed. So all those names were like refunded as COVID-19 funds response. You understand? So Gambians were saying, okay, hey, we have the best minister. He's the minister who comes forward and says his ministry is corrupt. And today is the one saying that his ministry is not corrupt. It's because of what Adam Barrow has already said. He's now backing the ministers. We've seen the level of corruption in this country. And it's becoming so volatile. Yeah.
What is your observation during the parliamentary and local government? So we saw Adam Barrow really wanted KMC, BCC, and become an area council, but he lost all of them. What do you think is the reason? People say it's a vote of rejection.
Well, like you said, we were into it. We endorsed his talent, which is part of KM. And I think the deciders were those who decided the elections for KM Bando and Brikama are concerned citizens. It's not the UDP camp. And this is what I always say. Yeah. Even when I see the Taliban, I tell him, Taliban did not win because of UDP. He did not win because of UDP. He win because of concerned citizens. Because why? They are trying to show Adam Barone he is not the right president. He is not actually providing solutions to us. Because anything he wants in this country, he will not get it from the voters anymore. The voters are actually rejecting him. That's why the Secretary General and Party Leader of the UDP said it, that Adam Barrow should start packing his things and go, because it is evident that the Gambians are already now making their minds not to vote for him in the 2026 presidential election, because the way he's micromanaging the institutions, the way he's going about the governance architecture, it is not overwhelming. And this is the reason why the Gambian citizenry came and defend what they should defend, which is the KM, the BCC, and the Brikama Area Council. Yeah.
So you argue that it is a vote of protection?
Exactly.
Your party leader, let me say, because I didn't watch the video actually, they said according to Yari Bashir, he is the president of the Gambia, who joined the Gambia in 90 days.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the party, when the party was coming up. He had an interview with QTV. There's a program called, what's the name of the program again? There's a platform in QTV at the time, The Viewpoint. This is where you alter this statement, The Viewpoint. With Babucarr, Yaya, or something like that. Babucarr C. So what he said was this, the idea behind all the concept of what he said, to be analytical, it is very simple. In any government, they will judge your proactiveness in your first 90 days or in your first 100 days. In any government, that's how they judge. They judge your proactiveness in your first 100 days. And this is not to say building the Gambia in a much more infrastructure like Dubai, in a much more infrastructure like what he said, Singapore. It is not actually what it means in real sense. In real sense, it is to form the basis. To form the basis, this is like when you are building a house, you need a foundation. If the foundation is not solid, after building everything on top of the foundation, it will collapse. Eminently, it will collapse. So what he was trying to refer at is, it's not actually building the Gambia within 90 days. It is not possible, my sister. It's not possible to build Gambia in 90 days. Even Singapore itself was not built in 90 days. So it's not possible. The rationale behind it was like, to build an infrastructure, to build a foundation, that after that 100 days, or after that 90 days, you can see an institutional development. Because the problem we have in this country is institutional deficit. Our institutions are not functioning at all. Go to GRTS. It's an institution. It's a state institution. Go to the National Youth Council. It's a state institution. Go to the National Education NCCE. We have many coming to the ministries. Tell me which of these institutions is actually providing solutions according to their rules. None. So this is where we have a problem. With all the issues we have in the United States, they have the Republican, they have the this, but they all sit in one table and agree on certain big pillars, devoid of the differences that they have. They all have political ideologies, but they come together in a table and sit. The Republicans say, okay, this is how I see it. You know, these other people also say, this is how I see it. But at the end of the day, they will all agree, develop a consensus building approach. To say, okay, we agree on these big pillars. The institutions that we have in this country, let them provide solutions according to the way we want them. You will agree, I will agree, but we are different camps. But because of the benefit of state, we will agree on it.
Do you think that will be possible in the Gambia?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I say our institutions are not functioning because of we cannot sit as political parties, we cannot sit as governance architectures to sit and agree on these big pillars. This is the problem we have. This is the problem. The institutions we have in this country are not providing solutions. If you look at the media, the state media itself, look, what is their role? Now you are even seeing independent media are even playing more role than the state media. It is wrong. It is wrong.
Okay. If God is given the chance to under the leadership of Bashiri to be the president of the Gambia, do you think there will be changes?
Of course there will be changes. You know, there's one thing that I believe. It's not all about Bashiri. It's about the man, the vision he has. He believes in proactiveness. And he believes in a certain concept that Adama Barrow, like we have been saying to Adama Barrow doesn't listen. It is to have a governing council. That is a council within a council. A governing council presides over the matters of the state of affairs, where you have ministers as technocrats, permanent secretaries as technocrats, looking into the instrument that they have in their ministries, looking at the issues they have in their ministries. Like, for example, the provisions in the Constitution, which is Section 200, that gives the president powers to go around and meet the people, what we call it, meet the people talk. This is a provision that is given to president. To me, I was even saying, there should not even be provision like that in our Constitution. The president should not have a mandate that's single, or give him a power to meet the people every year once. It is wrong. To me, there should not be a mandate. There should be an open mandate for President Barrow to meet the people any minute. President Barrow should be meeting the people every month. President Barrow to meet the people every 3 months or every 6 months, so that you know the problems of the people. Huh?
That will be expensive.
No. What are they doing right now is not expensive. A government that covers a cost of $400 million on travel expenses. Man, that's a joke. 400 million, yeah, and the president will come forward and tell us this is not money compared to other state institutions, other states in the world. So now Gambia government is comparing themselves with Sierra Leone, Gambia government is comparing themselves with Dubai, America, United Kingdom, Nigeria. Why? In a very small economy that we have. We cannot even build an independent economic structure for ourselves. Spending $400 million American dollars on travel expenses alone. Not capturing administrative costs. Tumanja said this in the assembly. That the governments are here to enrich themselves. Even the assembly now is now becoming an institution, whereas they are just there to enrich themselves. From $650,000 to $1.5 million, which is the salary of the Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House. from 650 to 1.5. Look at the grace. Look at the difference. You know, now they are covering themselves with a lot of allowances. And now the government also has procured brand new SUV vehicles for them. So how are you looking at the parliament now? How are you looking at it? Is it not a place? It's not a place for you to search for greener pasture. And I'm going to say the next coming parliamentary election is going to be very interesting, huh? Because people are going to see you now and see when now you are an honorable member, you are automatically rich. You automatically rich. You know, because what government is saying, the vehicles are procured based on what? Because they are giving them how to call it, transport allowances, and they are cutting down the $21,000 is transport allowances. How many $1,000 are you going to put together to ensure you cover the cost of those vehicles? $3.09 million. Let's say $3 million is the cost of each vehicle.
Okay. We'll come to that. But do you think President Barrow is paying him to the vote of rejection?
If he's what?
Paying him to the.
No, Adama Barrow is somebody who I think he doesn't pay attention to all those things. For him, he believes in one thing: I can buy people. I always tell Adama Barrow this in most of my interviews: people are not markets. You cannot buy the people because of you need them. And at the Gambia, I'm aware now, I'm very, very happy that the Gambian populace, the Gambian electorate are now aware of the status quo. Whereas they will sit and bring pots, these cooking pots, you know, giving it to DCI companies, these women kafu, we want to this, we want to. That's what they do, that's the strategies they do. And then, okay, 5,000 of look at this, give me $2,000, is vote for us, go and organize people. Now what people do is they hold on to the money. They hold on to this cooking pot. They sit and then give their vote, because in our constitution, section 40 says the ballot should be what? Should be secret. So when I'm entering the ballot house, I enter alone. What I put, nobody knows. There is no CCTV camera to capture whether I've eaten the NPP money. Now I'm not voting for NPP. Nobody will capture me at the end of the day. So what Gambian are doing is like, no, this is the taxpayers' money. It is coming from the consolidated revenue fund. So it comes back to the people in disguise. Understand? So if you give me $2,000 to go and vote, I will collect the $2,000. When I reach, I put the candidate I want.
Right, makes sense.
Exactly.
What is your take on the National Assembly member vehicle style?
Yeah, just like I alluded, it is a right. I can say it's a right. I can say it's a privilege, because we've seen ministers also having vehicles on their own. But the difference between that is they don't own it. Ministers don't own vehicles. But the National Assembly owned the vehicles. 2017, the vehicles that they procured, the pickups they procured, they were less far in terms of cost to the ones they procured now. You understand? Because those were just like less than $1 million. You know. But like they own them. When you are leaving the parliament, you take it along as your personal property. You can even sell it if you want. But the ministers, it is a privilege given to them. At least when you are going to office, you have a vehicle that takes you and brings you. At the end of the day, any day you are sacked, you leave it there. But this is the difference we have. So to me, I will not argue to say the president or the governance architecture should not provide such a solution or sort of kind of a privilege to them. But what I was like seeing was for them not to own it. This is what I was saying. Because National Assembly members go, National Assembly members comes in. And elections are here to stay, in as much as the Gambia continue to be a country. Except it's one day we wake up in the morning, we see no Gambia. But in as much as Gambia here continues to live, elections are bound to happen. So National Assembly members, we expect them to be there, we accept them to leave and others to come. So the government cannot bear these expenses all the time. Because when you bring in a new batch of another session of parliamentarians, you have to procure vehicles for them. Because the ones that were elected, you've taken the vehicles. So what I was saying is like to form a resolution or a law that section this of the Constitution says National Assembly, they can procure vehicles for them. But when another member is leaving the parliament, should leave the vehicle there. You can go and adjust your salaries like the way they are doing. Because we've seen that in the parliament, they brought a bill where ministers are asking for salary increment, and say, okay, we want to increase our salary. They rejected it. At the end of the day, those same ministers went ahead and increased the salaries on their own. Now tell me, where are the checks and balances of powers? Because the National Assembly like I said, they have an oversight function on the checks and balances of political powers, especially the executive. Now, if they cannot take account of some of these things that they are doing, the executive that can do things on their own way, they have the latitude, they have the fiscal space to perform anything they want to do. It is wrong. You know, that's why Tupanjai was very, very angry at that time when he was giving the speech. You know, that we are now enriching ourselves, and this is not what we bargained for. When the campaign promises we have for our people was like to make sure we bring development to the constituencies. And then how can you see me as a National Assembly member driving an SUV that cost $3 million? And the constituency that I was elected from cannot even have something that worth that. There is no major development in our constituency that worth $3 million. How are you seeing it? It's like it's politics of deceit. You are there to enrich yourself. So this is what she was saying. And I understood her in that perspective. That if I told you are there to sacrifice, you know, but you cannot tell us that choose also that we can sacrifice. At the end of the day, you are there, you know, to benefit yourself. You know, yes, there are certain things that you can do, like providing a vehicle for you. When you are about to leave, then you leave it there. Out of your salary, you can buy a car.
How do you see the National Assembly itself? Because first when they came to power, they asked for $100,000 for closing arguments.
Yeah.
And then now they decrease.
That's what I'm saying. It's becoming very lucrative. It's not a greener pasture ground. You know, it could even be a dumping site for mosquito to go and breed. Okay. Because like everybody want to be there. Kuneka, everybody want to be there because it's even better than going to Europe. Yeah, because if you have two successive terms in parliament, you are fine. Okay.
Do you expect them to pass the anti-corruption bill?
Well, this is something that I don't foresee. Even if they we have a bigger problem. All the laws we have in this country, because that's why sometimes when they said the Gambia Constitution and other relevant laws of the Gambia. But look at the other laws, they are inconsistent. Now, let me give you one example. The election bill 2020 failed because of inconsistency between the election bill and the Constitution of the Gambia. There are certain provisions the Constitution will say this. There are certain provisions the bill will say this. So you see quite a lot of inconsistencies. And this is the reason why we need a new legal framework. Amendment cannot solve this issue. The 1997 Constitution is something that the Coalition 2016 promised to abolish. This is one of the major reforms. Not for talking about the election reforms, the election bill reforms. Let's look at the national instrument, which is the Constitution of the Gambia. $114 million was just spent for nothing. And then President Wano said his major role in salvaging the governance architecture is to ensure we have a new legal framework. And that new legal framework will capture all the relevant laws and feel that they are consistent with other relevant laws in the Gambia. So that any institution in this country can perform. Now our hands are tied. Even the IEC, their hands are tied. There are certain things they cannot do. Because of the law in this country is not giving them that priority. Found it very inconsistent. So this is the problem we have. So anti-corruption bill cannot come in. When we have an archaic, very archaic and very redundant legal framework. 1997 Constitution is barbaric. This is what the IJMA used in this country for 23 years. And we've seen it as something that is called fulfilling its roles and responsibility. And then also guarantee the aspirations and hopes of Gambians.
The majority leader of the National Assembly said they will try their best to pass the anti-corruption bill. So that was just...
If the anti-corruption bill comes in, you will also find inconsistencies with the main constitution, which is the 1997 constitution. So it means it cannot work. That's what I'm telling you. I don't know whether you understand this, except if you have been into any reforms, that you have to look at the constitution first before those reforms takes place. If you have been into that, you will understand what I'm saying. Because I've been into validating the election bill 2020. And I've seen the amount of inconsistency between the election bill and the 1997 constitution. It cannot work. The only thing the election bill can come into play is when we amend those laws and provisions. And there's only for us to amend. Let's just have a new legal framework.
Some people are, doubting the effectiveness of the National Assembly, saying now that they have car, they will be going around to, government officials to get funds or, fuel. Money for fuel. They won't hold the government accountable. You think so?
No. But this is an oversight function. This doesn't mean you micromanage the issues of the assembly. No, it's not. It's not like when you have a state institution that is being enacted by law. That state institution will show proximity to central government, or will show that kind of complicity, that is nearness. Okay, whatever they say. Okay, let me see myself in it. So that because if I don't see myself in it, they will deprive me of certain benefit. The National Assembly is not like that. The only thing that I've seen in National Assembly is, it's like there is too much focus on monetary gains. And this actually should not be. Because though we know they cannot bring that major development, because it's not their role and responsibility to ensure they bring major development into the constituency. It's central government that has that role. That's why we have line ministers. The Ministry of Agriculture, their role is to ensure they boost the agricultural system in this country. Constituencies, National Assembly members cannot do that. It's the role of the minister. Okay. Look at the Minister of Tourism, the same thing. Ministry of Lands and Local Government is the same thing. All these line ministers has the role. So the National Assembly will not do it. But actually, they give them what we call constituency allowances, which is $300,000 annually. I think that also is dear to us, like looking into certain things in the communities. They can actually say, okay, the National Assembly member do it, but also they cannot sit in their rollers, in their lowers to see, okay, let me sit comfortably. They have also the latitude to go out and seek for donations and seek for partnership, and all that, because Talib is doing it. The government is not doing, but Talib is going somewhere in other countries to seek for ideas with other mayoresses in other countries like United States. And he does that. And then these National Assembly members also have that privilege to go out. To go out. Because not long ago, the National Assembly member for Basse, our Basse, traveled to UK. And all these things are opportunities it creates for you. When you go there, you create what we call bilaterals, multilateral ties with other, honorable members. Okay, this is my constituency. This is what I want. Help me out. There are so much organizations out there. They are ready to fund. You can go and tap those funds and direct them to your constituencies and also do something good. So you cannot just sit because you say it's not my mandate. And out of the $300,000 is given to them as constituency allowance, they don't even invest it back to the people. What they do, they just look at one field, a community field in the ground. Okay, community field be armed fence. Let's fence it. And to fence a field here, you cannot even put $300,000 in there. You can just maybe 100, 150, and the remaining 150 goes back to your pocket. So you see the selfishness. So that's why I'm saying the National Assembly is now being focused into much more monetary gains than what they're supposed to provide services for the Gambians. Yeah.
Away from that, what do you understand regarding the Senegambia saga?
Well, the Senegambia bridge saga, I could not actually take sides until when I listened to the Minister of Economic and Finance, Finance and Economic Affairs, Sidi Keita, and this is what I made to believe, because I listened to him very well. Although people were like blaming the checks and balances of powers with the oversight function of the Parliament of the Gambia, that they don't have the infantry, to sign certain agreements, financial agreement. But if you look at the Public Finance Act, it has given them that power, to sign any agreement without the approval of the National Assembly. So the National Assembly was like murmuring over those things. Why did they sign? How did they sign? They should bring the contract back to Parliament they can vet the contract to see what the contract represents, how the Gambia is going to benefit from this. All those checks and balances. Yes, they should, because it's their partial responsibility, which is an oversight function. So, but also, in the Public Finance Act, it has given them all the right. That's what I'm saying. In our constitution, there are so much inconsistency. One part of this will say this, another part will come and say something that also counter. Because if you say yes, the minister should be like going through checks and balances. Because that's why most of the time you see ministers coming to the parliament, with their budget and all those things. Before it approved, you have to go. These are all checks and balances. You understand? But also, another act that is there also that is approving that. It disapproves it, that to say they also have the power to sign. They don't need to consult the parliament. So you see what I'm saying? So that is why the minister said they went ahead and signed. So they don't need to consult the parliament to give them a go ahead, because the Public Finance Act has already stated it clear that we have the right, we have the powers, to sign any financial agreement with any partner. Africa 50 was the engineer, was the company they used to build the bridge. According to him, it's like it's an agreement. It's like they don't own it. There were upfront payment, and then also they are using the Africa 50 is also using it to monetize the bridge. like 12% of the revenue collected is going back to government. You understand? And then the remaining goes to them because they finance they finance everything. And then, but it is not an own something. I think this way are the misconception. People are thinking that the Gambia government has sold it, or the Gambia government lend it, or the government has mortgage it. It's not mortgage. You know, I think the truth of the matter is it still belongs to the Gambia. The only thing is it is a kind of a BOT, because when you look at the heads of terms, it's like a memorandum of understanding. If you look at the heads of terms that they develop, it's like a memorandum of understanding, whereas they have an understanding between Africa 50 and the Gambia government, that this is how we want to operate. But when you look at BOT, it is in place in a perspective whereas you will see build, operate and transfer. That is, for example, you will sign an agreement with a particular company to say, okay, I do not have the funds, but you have the funds as the company. You come and build the infrastructure that I need. And then when you build the infrastructure that I need in my country, now you will run it. You will run it for a certain number of years.
But don't you think 25 years is good?
No, it depends on the agreement. Well, the money that they put, because these are arm's length agreements. You understand? When you make some of this agreement, you look at what the person has invested. And remember also, they are giving 12% to the Gambia government as revenue. You understand? And secondly, the company is also paying tax. They will operate it after operating it before they transfer it to government. This one is different. This one is much more better. When I listen to him, if I thought that is the correct picture, okay? If that's the correct picture, this one is much more better than the BOT, because the BOT is the company will have to like finance. They will do the operation themselves. They will not even pay taxes. You understand? At the end of the day, when they are done getting their investment from that infrastructure, they now take it and transfer it to government. Whether it is in good order, whether it is not in good shape, but it's now up to them to transfer it to government. But this one, if you look at the arm's length of the agreement they made, the heads of it is not a much more BOT perspective. The Gambia is benefiting more than when you make an agreement in a BOT perspective, because one, the company is paying taxes to the government, and secondly, we have a 12.5 percentage from the revenue collected as an upfront premium, and will be managed by them, and also employing, because people that are there, they are also employed by Gambians. They are Gambians and they are also employed by central government. So you see, all those things are lubrics in ensuring that the relationship between Gambia and Africa 50 and the Gambia becomes a kind of a social corporate responsibility. But although it's squasher, in a political term, you can say it's squasher, it's not that much compact, it's not about cohesive. But if you look at it in a perspective, it's at least better.
Okay. Yeah. I hope for the purpose of transparency, they will go to National Assembly.
Well, the laws are very clear. The checks and balances, it is a right. It's a right vested in the powers of the National Assembly to ensure anything that the ministry does, it is of faith to the Parliament. Yeah, but when you look at like I said, the Public Finance Act, it has also empowered them to sign financial agreement without consulting the Assembly. So this is the reason why I say we need our legal framework to be not inconsistent. Because you see them empowering some side, they come again and counter empowering another provision. So these are the problems we have.
Okay, Gambia fought so much, during 2016, and which include overstaying in power. President Araboro made the remark that he will run for a third term in 2026. How do you think?
It is in two perspectives, or in two folds. There is the legal part, there is the moral part. This is Africa. In fact, I listened to, is it the ECOWAS statement when Macky Sall withdrew?
Yes.
And then I also see the President of the Republic congratulating him. You don't need to congratulate him. You don't need to. This is something that they owe to their citizens. This is something that they owe to their citizens. You don't need to congratulate. It's just like when you open an account in GT Bank, you understand? And you have your account in the bank. And then secondly, you have your ATM. You go to the ATM and withdraw money. And the money comes from the ATM machine, and then you start clapping from the ATM. What are you clapping for the ATM for? You don't need to clap for the ATM. Right. Because if your money was not in the bank, he will not be given the prestige for you to get the amount that you wanted. So it is your work. It is your hard work that gives you that money. So you cannot say, okay, let me clap for it. It has not done nothing that providing services for you. So President Barrow doesn't even have, that how to call it again, that moral lesson, that moral license for him to congratulate Macky Sall on that. And then secondly, the law in our country, like I said, one of the things that killed the constitution, the draft constitution I mean, was the clause of retroactivity. To say, where does my term start? Where does it start? Because I can remember I was on top of matters at the time when former president of Nigeria used to come here, Jonathan Goodluck. We used to have sessions. And I can remember one day I have an issue with Hussein Dabo because of telling him that he is hiding behind the tree of nationalism. If really you old men or you people, we are young people, do not even have hope, we do not have faith in our constitution, building a legal framework for all, whereas $114 million was spent for nothing. And so you people are sitting down here telling heads of state, telling them that we are nationalists, we have this, we have. I say no. You cannot hide behind the tree of nationalism. If you are a true nationalism, if you are a true nationalist, you should not hide behind it. Come and tell us that, okay, yes, we have agreed. Who guarantees that Adam Barrow will be ruling here for the past 10 years? Who guarantees that 2021 elections Adam Barrow will win? So Adam Barrow also is counted is okay, it doesn't count on this my term, it counts on the next term. So the clause of retroactivity killed the constitution. We went to Nigeria, and all those things we have done, spending money. General Goldlock was coming here, having meeting sessions at the OIC, the International Conference Center, having it at this African Princess Hotel, and on to Nigeria. And all these things did not bear fruit. At the end of the day, it was dumb and dusted. National Assembly members were engaged, civil society were engaged, religious leaders were engaged, political parties were engaged, leaders were engaged. And all these sessions it was expensive. At the end of the day, what dividend does it make? Nothing. So you see, so this is what I was saying. Adam Barrow, yes, Africa is turning a new page. Now, what they are looking at, it is countries. Out of the 53, I think it's only 3 countries that are not subscribing to term limits. And this is what they want to eradicate. They want all African countries, to bear term limits. So that at least when you come, your first term, your second term is okay, you go. If even you are the best president in the world, if even you have done immensely better for that country, go, let somebody else come. Because the love for power is something that is not creating a democratic dividend. So you see, Adam Barrow, yes, the law in this country, yes, allow him to stand. Like I said, the law allows him to stand. As I'm talking to you, in our legal framework, there is no term limit. We don't have term limit today, we don't have term limit tomorrow, because they kill the constitution. But to me, it doesn't have the moral license. Morally, we should be looking at ourselves in moral perspective. I have ruled this country for 2 consecutive terms. I came in as a president in this country by giving a message to Gambians that I'm not here to stay for even 5 years. I'm here to stay for only 3 years. After the 3 years elapse, the love for power becomes matured. This is what we are saying. Let's clear our democracy. The love for power becomes matured. And saying now, okay, the Gambian government and the Gambian constitution doesn't empower anybody to live for 3 years. Our mandate is 5 years. But you knew, before coming into power in 2016, that our mandate is 5 years. Why did you went and campaign for 3 years? So are you telling us you don't know what you are doing? You knew what you were doing. Right. The family wreck because you now have the love for power. You don't want to go down, and people who are around you are telling you, no, don't go. And the same people who are there saying 3 years, and they are the one people I'm empowering to tell him that if he resign, I'll take him to court. That was the unity leader at the time. If Adam Barrow resigned, they'll take him to court. What? And they are the same people that campaigned for 3 years. When 3 years George Mack came into existence, what did they do? He said he's going to bring a tank full of hot water. Your people that voted into power, you forgot yesterday. When we are running behind you, following you to make sure the incumbent who was just to lose power. You forget our participation, and you say you are going to use that hot tank to spray water on them. Because they said you have to go down. And it was your promise. So to me, it doesn't have the moral license. Okay, if he has come to spend 5 years, okay, Hala helps him again. 2021 he won elections in a landslide victory. Ever in this country, the number of votes we had in 2021, we never had that before. People who registered and people who voted. That precedence occurred by him. Now if you come to this and you are seeing the way your leadership is going, it is not actually paying dividend. People are not happy with your governance architecture. People are not happy the way you are ruling them. People are not happy with the inflation prices of goods. People are not happy the way things are micromanaged. Institutions are not functioning. Line ministries are not doing what they're supposed to do. The height of corruption is on the rampage. People are now saying, it's not even looked at it in that perspective. You even have the temerity to go and stand in front of Ghana and say, you are looking for a third term. It doesn't have the moralizing at all. To me, Adama today, what you would have done is to look for a successor. Like other countries did in East Africa, Zimbabwe, look at Luanda in Angola, and all these things, they look for predecessors. Like people who say, okay, if I'm leaving power today, let somebody come and take. But what I say in the NPP is the only political party who doesn't have that kind of patterns. Adama Barrow today cannot stand and say, okay, I guarantee you, to follow me after I leave office. It's not there in NPP. Because NPP is a kind of a structure where everybody is fighting each other. Everybody wants to be here, everybody wants to be there, everybody wants to be there. People who came yesterday, this is the reality of NPP. People who came yesterday are on the front row. It's just like if you are going to church, the first people will be in the front row. If you are going to Mox Friday prayer, the first people will be on the front row. But in NPP, it's not like that. People who even build the NPP today, they are not in front. They are complaining that we build NPP, we sacrifice our life, we put our lives for NPP to be where it is today. But where are we? We are in the backbench. People who came yesterday, people like Dr. Sabali. I can remember when we are talking about what? When we are talking about an alliance between GAP, APRC, and GDC. Before 2021 election, I'm telling you, we used to have our meetings at Babucarr Hotel. That's where he used to. Then he was the national chairman for the GDC. You understand? So we used to sit and talk. Then Amulu Nyasi, Duduja representing APRC. I and Kadoro Yafa was representing GAP, because we did not put the leaders at the time. We put them behind. After we made an agreement that we can bring them, then we have a larger body of political parties together. So he was there with the administrative secretary of GDC at the time. So we are sitting talking about a potential alliance, how we can get Barrow out. This man betrayed the cause of that alliance and went and reported everything to Barrow, that how we are planning to unseat him as a president. You understand? And betrayed the cause and then quick switch. And what I heard was like, he just resigned from GDC as the chairman, the national chairman of GDC, and now he's now NPP. Remember, people were already there on the ground. People who built NPP were there. Even this man that the NPP forsake in Brigama, Ahmed GT was there. These are the front people. These are people who took the front row, who apportioned their lives for NPP. Today, who is Ahmed GT? Nowhere to be seen. That man who came from a political party now is now a minister of agriculture. He doesn't even know how to farm. Somebody who doesn't even know the principle of being a minister, working in a ministry, now is leading the affairs of a whole ministry. Especially a ministry that contributes almost, let's say, 60 to 50% of our GDP. One of the two ministries in this country that Gambia government should not play with is the Minister of Agriculture and Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. These are the backbones of every country. A non-entity is there leading the affairs, presiding over a ministry like that. So this is what I'm saying. Adama Barrow doesn't have for me today, if I was Adama Barrow, he doesn't trust anybody in the NPP, I know. What he could have done was just to make it very easy for him. Build a legacy and say, I am not going to contest for 2026. Whoever is going to be the flag bearer under my party will come. Whether they kill themselves, because we've seen their congress here at the OIC. 2 days, 2 nights. A simple congress, when people go to congress less than 2-3 hours, they are done. 2 days, 2 nights, they are in the OIC secretariat here, killing themselves, fighting each other for ordinary position. You understand? So this is what we are saying. Let Adama Barrow come back and rescind that decision that he made, that he told Gambians now he's ready to run for 2023. It's a no-go area for him. If he try it, he's not going to succeed. You understand? So Gambians are now aware that Adama Barrow cannot solve the issues of this country. And in as much as we are aware of this, nobody can take us to the ballot in that politics of deceit anymore. We are here to revolt against it. You understand? To ensure that Adama Barrow doesn't succeed that time, inshallah.
Okay. Gambia Action Party was registered in 2019 rather, 17 January. Yeah. What are some of the things that you achieved as a party?
Well, this is what I always say. Political parties are not instituted merely to contest for political power. There are other oversight functions.
like salvaging the socio-economic development in different perspectives. Like when the breakout of the COVID, the Gambia Action Party was seen taking active role in lending an helping hand, to Gambians. Some of them are not even surrogates of the Gambia Action Party, but we've seen that because of there's a breakout, there's an outbreak, the Gambia Action Party has a role and responsibility to ensure the citizenry, is protected. Not only like to say, okay, we go to the polls, the Gambia Action Party put on candidates, and we are voted in, we are in office, and we could not satisfy all those things. That's why we've built a lot of improvement. You understand? Because we've nurtured a lot of young people. We've nurtured a lot of women, so that at least today they can say, okay, we are in the basket of politics. We are now in the political space. We can express ourselves. When I was coming, I was never a politician. I even surprised myself the way I'm right now in politics. I surprised because I was not born as a politician. I was born to be a technocrat. My dream, in fact, was to become a doctor. You understand? So, but all those things are just something to talk about another day. But the Gambia Action Party has groomed some of us. When I was in the Gambia Action Party, I was a PRO. From the PRO, we went to Congress. I was elected as spokesperson. From that, another one, I'm not deputy party. So you see how I climbed the ladder. So these are opportunities the Gambia Action Party has given me as an individual. And not only me, even our national president and other people who are young, who are within the bracket age, because our constituency, young people bracket age between 18 to 35. We are all within that age. You understand? So the Gambia Action Party has actually built that architecture, that difference in internal party structure. And that cohesiveness among us also is there. So I've seen a lot that the Gambia Action Party has achieved, not only to preside over political affairs or preside over public offices. Sometimes not all political parties can be in government. Some you can't, but you can find another way how you can better the lives of other people. You understand? And the Gambia Action Party has been into that, giving packages, scholarships to Gambians. We are not that type to go online to say, okay, we provide this, we provide. No. What we do is we are doing it for the benefit of Gambians. We are not an entrepreneurship. We are not an institution who like when you are giving a lending hand to people, you have to put in media and stuff. No, we don't do that. What we do is we ensure that people that we have built their lives, they themselves knows what the Gambia Action Party has seen. We have provided scholarships. We have provided people who could not have their tickets to travel abroad. We also provided visas through our programs of the Gambia Action Party, our different tours in Europe. We provided visas to certain people in the party to go. Some don't even come back. Some betray the cause, but that was it. That's human nature. You can decide to help people today, and when they are there, they decide not to come back. You cannot hold them. The Gambia Action Party in all the conferences in the world, most of the time we are invited. At least 2 or 3 from the party is going. Especially the COP25 and COP26. That is Conference of All Parties. They call it COP. This conference and look at into the affairs of climate change. Most of the times they invite institutions, and then the Minister of Environment at the time, Namindiba, is now the ambassador at large in the UN representing Gambia. Former leader of the NCP, he used to invite the Gambia Action Party at least 2 or 3 invitations from UN. And then when they give it to us, we also look among the young people, the brilliant or who needs help. At least, okay, you also take this package and go. And when they go, most of them don't come back. But they don't have a problem. They are going to school. I know someday they'll come back and give it back to the party. So these are things that the Gambia Action Party has been doing. Yeah.
How do you see the charity organization? You have seen most of the people that were engaged during at the IMS era are now in Barras.
This is what I said. In fact, the launching of the implementation package, I was there. President Babucarr was there. I was also in the photo session that they took place. All of us were there. Let's say all of us were there. But one thing that I registered dismay and dissatisfaction is this. We've seen people who took active role during the killings. They tortured them. And those people are now in the forefront of advocating justice. All right. The European Union funded the entire implementation process. They funded the implementation package of 150 million euros. I was there, the European Union ambassador to the Gambia was there, and make a speech. And other ambassadors, UK, the president was there, and other many stakeholders, ministries, ministers, and all that. And about one thing that I fear, the implementation pattern, it is not something that I repose confidence in. Because, like I said, people who took active role during that time, that tenure, these are the people that are presiding over the affairs of the implementation. So if we are looking for justice, and then you cannot seek for justice without having evidence. Evidence is something that characterizes justice. Without evidence, you don't have justice. Now, there is no complicity that we are seeing people who are now in government, and they're also responsible of that back incident. You think they will not have that latitude to tamper with justice? They will not have the latitude to tamper with the evidence. And because these evidence are things that are in the public domain, they are not hidden. They have the powers now today, because they are in government. They have the powers to control, to say, okay, evidence A, evidence B, evidence C, please don't show it out. So how are we going to manage this as a nation? To see that people who are offended yesterday, justice is brought to them. The only thing I foresee, we are not going to have justice in totality. We are going to have partial justice. And that partial justice comes in monetary ground. That is the repatriation perspective. And even the repatriation perspective, I pose a question. And there is a big question mark for me, because I've seen the corrupt practices of this government. This government is not serious at all. It's not. 150 million euro, according to the Minister of Justice, Dauda, is my good friend though, small brother. According to him, they apportion it into 4 or 5. $50 million is going, 50 million euros going to reparation cost. Architecture. That is to say, they are going to have an independent judiciary, and also they will invest in the courts that we have, the court system we have in this country. That is, judges will no longer be writing in a long hand in court, because when that happens, you know, a judge can like say, okay, he's writing. Sometimes when you are talking, I'm writing. You are talking, I'm writing. I can choose what to write and what not to write. At the end of the day, when I'm giving evidences, at the end of the day, those things are not captured. So justice can be denied. So all those things are things that characterize in this statement, that the Minister of Justice will ensure they have a complete infrastructure that will gear towards profiling a solution to the problems, the long-lasting problem that the Minister has been encountering. That $40 million is, €40 million is specified or allocated for that. They will have an independent judiciary. They have a prosecutor that will be hired, an international prosecutor, not in Gambia, but who has international experience. You understand? Will be hired, and the office of the prosecutor also will be built out of that money, and other things that comprises just the judicial to be better. You know, I don't have a problem with that. All those things could be, and could not also be, because I know in Gambia government, when money is mentioned, there is a big problem. Because why? The only thing when money is mentioned here, they're all happy, and what the next thing they think is how to distribute it. Because I know the president of the Gambia is a president that relies on commissions. I'm not talking about commissions of inquiry. I'm talking about commissions like monetary commissions. Like any project that comes into the country, he should have a commission. Even before the local government elections, the buses that we have procured, it was like saying, okay, I advertise, or I'm bringing 70 buses to Gambians. He has $2.5 million as a commission. Because you could remember those buses each cost $5.something million, which is on the higher side. You understand? So this is what is the reality of Gambian government. So that 150 million euro, in the implementation pattern, some will go, some will not go. But because even Dauda Jallo said, in the reparation perspective, they are going to make sure those who suffer most receive higher. You understand? Those who suffered most receive higher. But how are we going to see that distribution done equally? Because to me, I'm seeing it as something that is going to be equitable. There should be equity in the distribution, so that at least those who suffer at least benefit. But I know you see that $50 million euros allocated for reparation would all not go for reparation. Maybe 10 million or 20 million will go. The remaining will not. The remaining will, like the minister and the president will share.
Okay. How do you see Barrow's government itself?
Barrow's government to me is anathema. It is the height of ungathered promiscuity. I usually show these big terms most of the times when I want to ridicule Barrow's government. Sometimes I say, people ask me, what do you mean?
Because I don't know. I don't know either.
Barrow's government is a government that is based on a perspective of compromise. Anything that in this country that the Gambia government is doing, it is being compromised. It means there is a complicity, there is proximity, there is all these things like to show you don't care. Man luma hamoi, what goes to my pocket, what goes for the dividend, not for the greater good, but for few minority people.
Do you think he's appointing based on competence?
No. If he's appointing based on competence, it means we have seen the institution working. The line ministries would have been like working. But you see the line ministries are not working because of, people who are there, they are not fit for purpose. You understand? You cannot have people like Demba Sabali as a minister of agriculture. You cannot have people like, what's his name again? Musa Drami, former minister of lands and then, lands and local government, regional government, now being the minister of fisheries. You cannot have those people. Those people cannot even speak. They don't even know the meaning of the four corners of the classroom. They don't have the experience. But these are people, these are tycoons. We call them political tycoons. And these political tycoons are always showing proximity to the president to make him believe that this is what is happening on the ground, while they are taking the blame. They do the dirty work. President Barrow is clean. They take the dirty work. And when they do the dirty work, President Barrow benefits from the dirty work. And their image are sold to the public. So that is why President Barrow don't play with them. And one of them also is my man. Anyway, but him, I don't want to talk about him much. He's a big brother. He's my best friend. That is Ahmad Ba. Minister of Tourism. But they all their arms are sharpened. I have not seen any ministry in this country that is actually doing the right thing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you learn about the local government local government commission?
Well, which one?
The current one that is investigating the.
Which one? I think everybody agreed on this. Even the civil society agreed that this was a witch hunt. Because I listened to Esa at Kerfatu when he had an interview with Talib. I listened to that interview. The entire commission is a political decision. Because Barrow wanted this, like you said, these three areas: Banjul, KMC, and Brikama. So he said, how can I get these people? I need to put a kind of a which one. People advise him. Barrow doesn't even have these ideas. I'm telling you, Barrow don't have these ideas there. People tell him, they advise him, why can't you commission? Why can't you commission? So that these people, they can bar them from contesting. You understand? They are not going to find anything in these commissions. Because government itself is not playing their role. What they're supposed to, like the subvention they're supposed to give to local council, they are not even giving it. In the first place, and they are saying it that because the councils are not giving reports to the council, to the minister. It is wrong. Now you tell me where the CEO is appointed by the ministry. The chief executive director, the chief executive financial, how do you call it? Chief executive finance, I don't know, controlling of the finance of the council. I also nominated by the ministry. Who is signing checks? Mayor doesn't sign checks. They only prefer policies. When they make the policies, with the councillors, they agree because it's all about voting and not abide to the ideas, they come together, they form those resolutions, they form those policies, and give it to them. Now, when you are procuring anything in the Gambian law, anything that is above $500,000, you cannot procure it as an institution. It has to go through the GPP, Gambia procurement. I don't know what and what. They has to ascertain, and before ascertaining, the one that is sitting as head of the procurement body, it is the CEO, and is appointed by the ministry. So you see, the mayor himself has limited roles. His hands are tight. He cannot do anything. You cannot withdraw. You cannot sign checks. So tell me where the corruption is coming from.
I personally think maybe Barrow doesn't want to hold people close to him. We also Martin, the former CEO of sat at everybody and said, I was bribing
to procure the land.
Yes. And Martin was never arrested. Yeah. Was never taken to police, to court or anything. So
And the beautiful part was Talib himself and his councillors took the matter.
Yes.
So if Talib was corrupt, how can you be corrupt and take the matter to court against yourself, to prosecute yourself? That has never happened. So that tells you it is the ministry. It is the ministry. So on their part was just to create a soap opera, an audience. Because the commissions, I do hear their stories. When they sit in front of the commission, they ask me. So people try to create that doubt. And I think the first second. Gambians are like when they sit in front of a commission in a television, the people start to have that mindset. So people start to create that doubt in themselves. Okay, it doesn't matter for me to support it. So this was a strategy. This was a strategy so that soap opera creates in the minds of Gambians. To say, and they will not find anything. Because those people are not actually they are not directed, involved in the forms. They don't sign checks.
So
they don't approve.
You in a what you want to say, that is a waste of funds. So they are paying all of
They are paying them, waste of funds, but because the strategy was to make sure these people are ridiculed, but they cannot ridicule them. And even the mandate of the commission itself failed. Because the time they're supposed to start, it started after the elections are done. So the purpose is defeated. So that you tell me the commission, I don't know what are you going to find? Nothing. Have you seen politicians call there? They don't call politicians. Since it started, I think they are calling people from the ministry.
Yes, instead of finding stuff around the local government now.
It's the ministry. All those who appeared in front of the commission as at now are from the ministry. So they are asking them how does the ministry and the relationship between the ministry and the councils. So that tells you Barrow just did this just to create that soap opera so that Gambians will create that doubt in them that Talib has stolen. Why Talib has not stolen? Or Rohim Maliklu has stolen. Why Rohim Maliklu has not stolen? So that doubt they create will limit the vote. You understand?
Even if they find, let me say, Talib Ahmed Benson or Rohim Maliklu or any other person, do you think there will be justice? Because we have seen the TRRC, they did the Jan Commission first, then the TRRC, the acute kidney injury. I think they said they will release a press today regarding the acute kidney injury because those parents want to take the matter to court.
And if you don't take it to court, there will be no. But the problem is, we also don't have an independent judiciary. So taking matters to court is one thing, but also getting a judicial redress is another thing. Because the judiciary we have today, the Chief Justice is appointed by the President. So if Honorable Hassan Dijalo is been nominated by the President to be there to preside over the judiciary, you think he will not show complicity? Because if he goes behind the country ban of the President's decision, the President will sack him. And if you sack him as an old man like him, where is he going to? So this is the problem. We don't have an independent judiciary body. So taking the matter to court and having a judicial redress is another thing. Yes.
Right. So what are your final remarks?
Well, my final remarks, the interview has been so long. I think it's the longest I've ever had. I have spoken so much on different takes on government. But this is what I always say. I'm always ready, when it comes to the sacrifices and letting Gambians understand. Because most of the things I say here, some Gambians don't know these things. And I think we are charged with the responsibility as politicians, especially on the opposition perspective, to complain, to the media and explain some of these things so that we can hold government accountable. So that they will know actually, we don't like Adama Barrow. We like Adama Barrow as our president. He was there, he was voted by the Gambians. But the problem is, all of us cannot see it in the same way. We must have different angles of seeing things. The way Adama Barrow is seeing it, he thinks it's the best. The way we are also seeing it, we think it's the best. But one of the things that is most important is to make sure we counter some of those things that are not productive. So that Adama Barrow will see, what I am doing is not right. Let me have a U-turn. I think this will better the democratic dividend, so that everybody in this country will see ourselves sharing the cake. Not only few people that are there sharing the cake. The cake should be shared among ourselves, so that anybody who is in this country have a share. That's what we call equity resource sharing of resources. But if we don't have that in our government, it's going to be a problem. And in politics, we all believe that we are government in the way. So we also want to sell our agenda to Gambians for them to understand that this is what we represent. We don't succumb to, we don't subscribe to corrupt malpractices. We don't like some of these things. We want to bring an agenda that is clean. We are not preaching politics of sarcasm, whereas we insult there and there. It is nasty politics. We don't preach politics of deceit, to tell people things that we know cannot do tomorrow. All what you do is to come and tell them, yes, during our campaign, okay, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. Yeah, it's nice to say I'll do it, but how are you committed to do it after the elections? At the end of the day, when they voted into office, and what you do is completely different from what you told Gambians. You understand? So these are the things that always we come forward to tell Gambians, to them to understand that the politics in which we are here, the age in which we are now, people should be aware. Let people don't come to your house and tell you that I give you $1,000 and vote for me, vote buying, and all those things is deteriorating. It's not taking us anywhere, because at the end of the day, we are selling our vote to people who are not standing for the interests of ourselves. Because if I take $2,000 for you, I vote for you, what it means is just you have spent money. So when you be in government, you have to make sure you recover that money. How can you recover that money? He cannot recover that money based on his salary. He has to steal. He has to do corrupt practices so that he can recover that money. And then steal more for his people. You understand? So Gambians should do away from these things. So that at least when we come to you with genuine politics, buy our ideas. Don't say because of Kari, don't give me money, this don't give me money, you don't do this, you don't do this. No. Let's go away from that. We see PDOIs here preaching genuine politics, preaching politics of principles, preaching politics of ideas. But how many people are subscribing to it? People are saying Ali Wasala is this, Ali Wasala is that, Ali Wasala is not a good leader, he's too bureaucratic. And we've seen somebody who is very, very much content. I've never seen somebody who is content today. I can confess that in the political space than Ali Wasala. I know Ali Wasala very well. Not only as a political party leader, he has been the co-chair of the inter-party committee where I am right now serving. You understand? I have seen under his tenure what he has done for the inter-party committee. He is the only person when we are organizing programs sponsored by the UNDP, when we enroll those programs, his per diem he don't collect it. His travel allowances don't collect it. His fuel coupons, even fuel coupons that is given to him to fuel his people, to go and grace the location of those, because usually we decentralize our program. Sometimes in URR, sometimes in LRR, sometimes in NBR, we do that. He don't collect it. You understand? Even when you give him water to drink, sometimes you say, I have to pay for my own money and go and buy water and drink. I don't see where Ali Fasala drink in public. I don't see where Ali Fasala eats in public. So he has a kind of a genuine personality. But today, we don't prefer him. We prefer people who come and tell us big jargons. Yes, I have given you $1 million. Go and vote, go and campaign. We've seen that in local government elections. But don't spend how many million dollars is here? Just for him to get the 3 councils. People eat all the money. So that's why I say I'm aware of the status quo of Gambians. They are aware now that the way the politics is going, people have to preach politics of genuinity. You do what you say, and you represent what you say. This is what I have to say. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you all for your kind attention, especially thank you for having me here in your media outlets, and the camera, the technicians also. I thank them profusely for their commitment and the role also they are taking. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant peace, harmony in this country, and also augment and uplift this very media house to the higher height.
Thank you so much, Babucarr, for honoring our invitation. Okay, guys, this is all I have for you in this episode of the Xclusive interview. Till I come your way next week. I am Hussein Dam.